be very, very quiet.
Alright, today we're going to learn about dwarf hunting. And when you cross tomatoes, you have traits that some are dominant and some are recessive. Well, dwarf is recessive. So your first cross, none of them are dwarf. Well, background on these, I had some seeds I was growing out last year someone sent me that some of them were contaminated. But I grew out some of the contaminated ones, and the result was, a really good tasting tomato. So I saved some of the seeds, and these would be an F2 now. So on an F2 you would only get a quarter dwarfs. Let me show you a chart on that, and we'll get back to this. Okay, now as showing in the chart, when you take one that carries the dwarf gene and you let it breed against itself, you have 1/4 that are true dwarfs, half that are not dwarfs but carry the dwarf gene, and 1/4 that is not dwarf at all. Okay, no dwarf in it whatsoever. So when you're dwarf hunting, what you're doing is you are planting as many as you can, because you know 3/4 of them you're going to get rid of anyway. So the first cut is these really tall seedlings. Okay, you can see the difference. Okay, look, see the little small one here? It's got a nice little thick stem under it, and so you know that's not just a runt, it's actually going to be a small dwarf. Whereas this big tall spindly one is not going to be a dwarf at all. So there's two different techniques for just pulling these out. Of course, your first and obvious one is just pull it out. And at this size, that's probably the route that I'd go. Okay, not much root on them yet, they just started. Alright, so we can just pull those out. But if you let them get a little more built up, you can just go in and go down to the base and snip it. Alright, now that's if you have more roots in the bottom and you don't want to disturb the roots. So what we'll do is we will thin this out down to not necessarily the last 1/4, but I'm going to take out all of the absolute ones that I know are not dwarfs. Okay? Alright, so now we've taken out the ones that are obviously not dwarfs. The other thing you want to look at with these is if you just got too many in one area, you may want to pull some anyway. But if you want to try to grow them all out, you can grow them out. The other thing I look at on these is the actual stalk itself, the trunk. Like this one's got a nice thick trunk, and that one's got a thin trunk. So chances are this is just a young one that is not a dwarf, but it's probably just a runt. But we'll find that out later on. We'll give it a chance to see. But that'll probably be my next candidate to pull out. So what I'll do next is I'll let these grow up a little bit, let them get another set of leaves, and then I'll transfer them to cups. And from there I'll observe them and see if there's any other traits that come out, like potato leaf or whatever. Now the dwarf parent of these was a tree type dwarf. Had a background of chocolate Cherokee, but I don't know what the other parent was. So it's going to be a surprise to see what comes out of them. So what I'll do is I'll plant all these in 5-gallon pots and observe them and see which ones have what traits I want. And I'll keep you informed. These ones are from a group called Freezy. And I just called these Freezy bastards because of the mixed lineage. So we will see what comes out of these and annotate the traits and such. And hopefully we'll have something that we can pass on to somebody else. Well, I hope you enjoyed. Have a good day.